There is an unwritten rule in the beast world continent. If you find a young female without a mate, you can force her to become your own. Anbai, a face and body obsessed fan, was just drooling over the abs in a book when she unexpectedly transmigrated into the beast world continent. As a result, she caught the attention of the continent's fierce beast husbands. The gentle big white wolf said to her, "Little female, I will take good care of you." The sundeer big tiger kept following her. "Hey I'm going to follow you no matter what." The scheming serpent lord cornered her. "Little female, where do you think you're running? Be a good girl and give me some snake eggs." The green tea little black dragon also latched onto her. "Big sister, can you protect me? I'm so scared." The first thing Anbai saw upon waking up was a pair of eyes glowing with a faint green light. "You stay away from me." Anbai widened her eyes and shouted in despair, attempting to use her words to intimidate the danger before her. It turned out that standing in front of her was a large white wolf bearing its fangs. Feng Mo Bai had gone out hunting today, but unexpectedly caught a strange scent. He followed the trail of the scent to investigate, and saw a sight that would amaze him for the rest of his life. A dazed young female wearing a white mermaid silk dress, with fair, tender skin, and plump, moist lips, instantly captivated Feng Mo Bai, making him unable to look away. Despite having seen many females before, he had never encountered one as beautiful as this. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai's heart was pounding fiercely. He couldn't resist wanting to get closer to her. Unexpectedly, the dazed little female suddenly made eye contact with him. Then she started trembling with fear. She kept begging him not to come closer. Seeing the little female who utterly rejected him, Feng Mo Bai's heart turned from joy into extreme bitterness and pain. All because he was born with white fur. Among the beast tribe, this was considered an ominous sign. After his father was killed, the young Feng Mo Bai was driven out of the wolf pack. He wandered alone in the savage forest. A little wolf cub suffered greatly in this savage forest. Many years passed. After Feng Mo Bai grew into a youth, he had already let go of these resentments, but the little female who made his heart race now might also despise him because of his white fur. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai felt a pang of pain in his heart, but he still spoke to comfort the little female before him. "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you." Bai, already trembling with fear, never expected the wolf before her to actually speak. The next second, Anbai's eyes rolled back, and she fainted from fright. Seeing the little female had fainted, Feng Mo Bai panicked and transformed into his human form. He quickly pulled the little female into his arms. Then he carefully picked up the little female and worriedly headed towards the cave where he lived. When Anbai woke up again, she found herself lying inside a cave, on a furry animal skin rug beneath her. At that moment, Feng Mo Bai, in human form, walked in holding some water. Anbai almost started drooling. The casually draped thin animal hide and his faintly visible chest muscles. In all her life, it was her first time seeing such a handsome man. Perhaps because Anbai's staring was too obvious, Feng Mo Bai, the whole wolf, felt a bit at a loss. "Little female, would you like some water?" Snapping back to reality, Anbai gave a sweet smile. She shyly took the leaf-held water. "Thank you. But why do you call me little female?" Now, it was Feng Mo Bai's turn to be embarrassed. He had been smitten from the first moment he saw Anbai. He wanted her to be his female. And the rule of the beast world continent was, if you find a little female without a mate, you can force her to be your partner. But facing the little female who made his heart race, he couldn't bring himself to force her. He also thought that the reason she was so afraid of him might be because she was abandoned by her tribe. So he vowed to protect the little female and help her survive. However, he completely forgot that he didn't detect the scent of any other beastmen on Anbai. At this moment, Anbai was once again checking out the hottie in front of her. He was wearing a peculiarly patterned animal hide. This outfit looks like that of primitive humans from ancient times. But looking at this excessively refined man before her, An Bai felt that something was a bit strange, especially when she saw his serious and focused green eyes. Suddenly, An Bai's pupils dilated. She remembered the large white wolf with green eyes she saw before fainting. A panicked thought arose in her heart. You are a wolf. To her surprise, she realized she no longer felt the fear she had before. Perhaps it was because she saw no malice in those eyes. Or maybe she was won over by his looks and physique. But at this moment, Feng Mo Bai misunderstood. He thought the little female disliked him for being an ominous white wolf beast. But he didn't want the little female to be afraid. With a feeling of dejection, he began to explain. Although I am a cursed wolf tribe beastman, please don't hate me. I won't hurt you. After speaking, Feng Mo Bai lowered his green eyes to the ground. His hands also seemed somewhat at a loss. His heart was filled with endless bitterness and sorrow. Looking at Feng Mo Bai, who was bowing his head dejectedly before her, An Bai suddenly felt an inexplicable pang of heartache. I never said I hate you. But why do you say you're cursed? In an instant, Feng Mo Bai looked up at An Bai in pleasant surprise. The little female actually said she doesn't hate him. At this moment, he felt nothing but immense sweetness in his heart. Then he patiently explained to An Bai. You saw it yourself. I am a white wolf, beast. An anomaly different from my tribe. And the color white represents a beastman cursed by the beast god. Feng Mo Bai didn't care about it in the past. But facing the enchanting little female before him, he feared her clear, pure eyes would also turn into a gaze of disgust. He began to hate this unusual white fur of his. However, there was no disgust at all in An Bai's eyes. Instead, she was pondering the key words in Feng Mo Bai's statement. Suddenly, a thread of memory surfaced in her mind. She remembered that ancient book, Beast World, Strange Fate, she had read before. She realized she must have transmigrated into the book. Coming back to her senses, An Bai looked at the pitiful yet enticing man before her. She couldn't help but speak to comfort him. You must have misunderstood. Rarity makes something precious. You have white fur that no one else has, proving you are a beastman blessed by the beast god. You are a very precious existence. Hearing An Bai's words, Feng Mo Bai showed a smile. His pair of green eyes looked at An Bai with joy. The little female not only didn't dislike him, but also said he was a very precious existence, blessed by the beast god. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai's heart was pounding intensely. Looking at this kind little female before him, that restless, agitated throbbing in Feng Mo Bai started again. So he could no longer hold back. He made a bold decision. Little female, you are so good. I really like you so much. Will you form a partnership with me? After saying this, he secretly glanced at An Bai. He confirmed once again that there was no disgust in her eyes towards him. His mind began to picture a happy life after forming a partnership with the young female. Faced with Feng Mo Bai's sudden confession, although it caught An Bai off guard, she found that she didn't actually feel resistant to the idea. But being asked to immediately be with a handsome guy she just met still felt a little too fast for An Bai. Sorry, but didn't we just meet? We could start as friends. My name is An Bai. Then let's be friends first. My name is Feng Mo Bai. May I call you An? After saying this, Feng Mo Bai's handsome face became completely flushed. So the young female's name is An Bai. It sounds really pleasant and cute. Although he was rejected, Feng Mo Bai didn't feel the slightest bit of resentment. Instead, he felt something inside him about to break free, like a butterfly from a cocoon. His heart beat faster and faster. It seemed like his courtship was on the verge of success. Right at that moment, An Bai's stomach growled at an awkward time. This made her cover her stomach with a shy expression. Feng Mo Bai looked at the shy young female and said, with a smile, An, you wait for me. There's a type of small, tender-fleshed pig beast around here. I'll go hunt one for you. After saying this, he left the cave with a face full of smiles, thinking to himself that the young female looked so thin and delicate. I must raise his little woman to be fair and plump. Watching Feng Mobai's hurried departing figure, Anbai's heart felt all sweet and tingly. Suddenly, Anbai raised her finger, as if testing something out. The next second, Anbai revealed a joyful smile. Never expected that after crossing over, her spatial ability could still be used. Although before crossing, she was just a support with no offensive power. But with her space filled with all kinds of supplies, here, she was practically like a game-breaking existence. Just then, Feng Mobai, who had been out hunting, carried an unidentified animal on his back. He walked in against the light, gazing at that radiant figure. Anbai's heart inexplicably began to race. A flush of shame and anger appeared on her face. To think you'd feel restless even over a wolf. At this moment, Feng Mobai looked at the little female, quietly waiting for his return. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. "Anne, wait a little longer and you can eat." After speaking, he crouched in front of the little pig beast. The next instant, the nails on his hands grew long and sharp. Then he deftly began handling the little pig beast. However, Anbai frowned. She just found the strong smell of blood in the air a bit unpleasant. But she didn't say anything. Soon after, Feng Mobai took out the most tender piece of meat and walked over with a smile. "Anne, try this. The little pig beast is unique to the eastern region. Its meat is fresh, tender, and very delicious." However, looking at the piece of meat still tinged with blood. Although she knew this was Feng Mobai's kind intention, Anbai simply couldn't bring herself to eat it. Anne pressed a hand against her abdomen, trying to relieve this discomfort. "Dabai, I don't eat raw meat." Seeing the little female's uncomfortable appearance, Feng Mobai suddenly realized, after wandering alone for too long, he'd actually forgotten how to treat a female. In the beast world continent, females are extremely rare. To form a partnership with a female, male beastmen must learn how to pamper a female. Although he was driven out of his tribe from a young age, he vaguely remembered that meat should be cooked with fire for feeding. He actually could be so careless in treating the little female. "Sorry, Anne. I've been alone for a very long time. Please wait for me a little longer." Just as Anbai was about to speak to comfort Feng Mobai, the next second, her eyes suddenly widened. Because she saw something unbelievable. She saw a ball of flame actually emerge from Feng Mobai's fingertip, slowly roasting the meat slice in his hand. This completely shattered Anbai's understanding. The wolf beast before her actually possessed fire-based supernatural abilities. "You have supernatural abilities?" At this moment, Feng Mobai, having finished roasting the meat slice, saw the little female staring at his hand with her mouth agape. "Little female, what are supernatural abilities?" "I am a 5th-tier fire attribute beastman." Actually, Feng Mobai also found the little female before him a bit strange. He had initially thought the little female was also abandoned. But in this beast world continent, where females are so cherished, how could an event like abandoning a female possibly happen? Anbai originally intended to keep it hidden. But looking at the man full of concern for her before her, she felt somewhat unwilling to deceive him. "Dabai. If I said I am not from this world." Although Feng Mobai also wanted to understand the little female better, seeing the hesitant little female, he knew she still had reservations, so he gently smiled and changed the subject. "Anne, you should eat the meat slice first. It won't taste good if it gets cold." Perhaps because she was too hungry. At this moment, Anbai felt that this roasted meat, without any seasoning, was exceptionally delicious. After finishing dinner, Feng Mobai carefully cleaned the cave thoroughly. Then, looking at Anbai, he said gently, "Anne, you can sleep peacefully in the cave. Don't be afraid. I'll be right outside guarding you." After speaking, he turned and walked out. At this moment, Anbai knew that the big white wolf had volunteered to stand guard outside to reassure her. But she couldn't bear to let the big white wolf sleep in the dangerous wilderness. So she quickly spoke up. Big White, wait. Can you stay in the cave? You can transform into your big white wolf form. That way, I'll be warmer too. She wouldn't admit that she was actually craving his body. And so, Anbai rested her head on the big white wolf and peacefully spent her first night after crossing over, unaware that she was about to face a crisis. The next day, Anbai slowly woke up, seeing Feng Mo Bai, who had reverted to his human form at some point, and looking at the well-defined abs right before her eyes. Her cheeks grew increasingly flushed. Although she liked it, she still felt a bit awkward. She hadn't adapted to primitive life that quickly. Feng Mo Bai, who had also woken up by now, gazed at the flustered little female in front of him, feeling immensely happy. It seemed that when beastmen mate, they also sleep together like this. Noticing Anbai's gaze, a guilty Feng Mo Bai quickly stood up. "An, are you hungry? I'll go hunt for you." He was about to step away when Anbai stopped him. "Wait. I want to go too." At this moment, Feng Mo Bai was also feeling a bit troubled. Although he didn't want to be separated from the little female either. But if he thought about the little female getting hurt by bumping into something, wouldn't he be the one feeling heartbroken then? So he patiently tried to dissuade her. "Anne, you're so delicate. It's better to wait for me in the cave. It wouldn't be good if you got hurt. But I'm not familiar with this place at all. I want to go see. Take me out with you. Please?" At this moment, Anbai didn't know. Her slightly coquettish tone nearly overwhelmed Feng Mo Bai. Feng Mo Bai was instantly enchanted by it. By the time he snapped out of it, he found he had already taken the little female out of the cave and was heading toward the hunting grounds in the forest. Since things had come to this, Feng Mo Bai clenched his fist and secretly swore he must protect the little female. Yet at this moment, he still didn't know he would nearly lose his little female. At this moment, Anbai was curiously observing the primitive forest. Suddenly, Feng Mo Bai beside her quickly shifted back to his wolf form. "An, I smell a young boar beast. Wait here for me." After saying this, he excitedly dashed out. Right now, he only wanted to show off his strength in front of the little female, but forgot this was a harsh, primitive forest. Although Anbai also wanted to go watch Feng Mo Bai hunt, she was afraid of causing trouble for him. In the end, she still stayed put and waited obediently. Suddenly, Anbai's pretty face flushed red. She realized she now seemed like a wife waiting for her husband to return home. Her mind conjured up some shameless scenes. Just at that moment, Anbai seemed to sense a scorching and ill-intentioned gaze. She looked up and discovered a giant wild boar standing on the opposite side of the stream. It bore a pair of huge, sharp tusks, staring directly at her. Drool was dripping profusely from its mouth. When Anbai made eye contact with it, the wild boar seemed to become even more frantic. It was kicking its hind legs, trying to jump across the creek. Looking at this ugly and frightening wild boar, Anbai's legs trembled uncontrollably with fear. When she saw the wild boar leap into the air, Anbai abruptly turned around and started running. But how could the delicate Bai and outrun a hungry wild boar? In her panic, she tripped over a branch and fell hard to the ground. The wild boar had already caught up. After seeing the little female fall, it slowly approached, step by step. Anbai watched the figure getting closer and closer. Her body trembling, she was too scared to look directly at the wild boar. However, after waiting for a while, the expected vicious attack still hadn't come. Summoning her courage, Anbai cautiously glanced over, only to find the wild boar in front of her looking at her with a sleazy smile. Its beady eyes actually revealed a lecherous glint. The next second, what surprised Anbai even more was, the wild boar actually started talking. "Little female, don't be afraid. I am very ugly, but I am very gentle." At this moment, and Bai hurriedly covered her nose, because when the wild boar spoke, its mouth emitted a foul, fishy odor. Then, under Bai's terrified gaze, the large wild boar transformed into a greasy, portly, naked man. His beady, vulgar eyes scanned Bai. His gaze was full of lewd appraisal. Actually, the wild boar, beastman had already set his sights on this little female. He had been incredibly excited at the time. There actually existed such a beautiful little female in this world. It was just a pity she was with a stinky white wolf. So he used unique large leaves to hide his scent, and hid in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity. He finally got his chance when the big white wolf left. He knew this was the best opportunity to capture the little female. In the savage forest, there weren't so many rules. If you fancied a little female, the one you managed to seize was naturally yours. Although the little female was now sitting fallen on the ground, trembling with fear, the wild boar beastman wasn't one to be gentle or cherish beauty. He just thought that the tender, pale little female before him would be good for bearing him lots of piglets. He couldn't wait to take the little female back for breeding. Fear and helplessness enveloped Bai. She trembled and shouted with a strained voice, "Don't come any closer." But obviously this move was useless. Watching the obese naked man get closer and closer. At this moment, a white figure crossed her mind. She missed Feng Mo Bai even more. On the other side, Feng Mo Bai, smiling, carried a small boar beast back to the stream. But he discovered his beloved little female was not by the stream. This worried him immensely. The next second, Feng Mo Bai transformed into his beast form and sniffed the air. Then he dashed wildly in one direction, only to see a scene that drove him mad. The little female was actually chased down and pinned by a wild boar, beastman. Her pale little face was full of fear. What was even more detestable was that the ugly wild boar was about to take action and touch his beloved little female. In an instant, Feng Mo Bai seemed to lose all reason, roaring with fierce rage. Bai, who had already fallen into despair, saw Feng Mo Bai. All her tension and fear dissipated. Only a trace of grievance welled up in her heart. But now, the wild boar, beastman only wanted to flee. Beastmen are born highly sensitive to danger. He knew he was no match for this white wolf. But how could Feng Mo Bai simply let off this culprit who made the little female look so pitiful? So Feng Mo Bai pounced fiercely. His sharp claws easily slashed the wild boar beastman's chest. At this moment, Bai was very worried Feng Mo Bai would get hurt, anxiously trying to stand up. But she had forgotten her foot was injured. The moment she stood up, she immediately cried out in pain. She painfully supported herself against the large tree beside her. Feng Mo Bai, who had originally intended to deal with the boar ORC, upon hearing the young female's pained and soft cry, no longer cared about the fleeing boar ORC. After shifting into human form, he rushed worriedly to Bai's side. "What's wrong, little female? Where are you hurt?" After speaking, he looked down and saw that the young female's ankle had become red and swollen. His green eyes were full of self-blame. Suddenly, Feng Mo Bai reached out his arms, carefully picked up Bai, and ran towards the cave. Suddenly being lifted, Bai instinctively wrapped her arms around Feng Mo Bai's neck. Feeling the man's firm chest and his sweat, her small face grew increasingly flushed. They soon returned to the cave. Feng Mo Bai carefully placed Bai on the fur blanket. He then took out a leaf, put it in his mouth, and chewed it. He then spat it out and gently applied it to Bai's foot. Looking at the man before her with his focused expression, that flutter in Bai's heart began again. It seemed she was developing real feelings for this big white wolf. At that moment, Feng Mo Bai looked up and met the young female's starry, sparkling eyes. For a moment, he felt himself getting lost in them. Meanwhile, Bai was hesitating about the mating proposal Feng Mo Bai had mentioned earlier. Suddenly, her stomach growled loudly. Her entire face grew even more flushed with embarrassment and frustration. Feng Mo Bai immediately slapped his own forehead, feeling somewhat annoyed. At that time, he only felt like the sky had fallen because the little female was missing. But he had abandoned his prey that was already in hand. Fortunately, when he returned to the small river again, he was pleasantly surprised to find that the little boar beast was still there. His beloved little female wouldn't go hungry. 2 days later, An Bai, who had applied the magical leaves, was already able to get up and walk. So she begged Feng Mo Bai to take her along for hunting. Considering that the little female had been recuperating in the cave these past 2 days, she probably was indeed bored. So he transformed into his wolf form and carried An Bai along to hunt. But it was this time that caused the little female to reveal her most deadly secret. Half an hour later, An Bai was roasting a piece of meat over the fire, and Feng Mo Bai sat obediently to the side, foolishly waiting for the little female's roasted meat. Suddenly, Feng Mo Bai's pupils instantly dilated, looking at An Bai with an expression of utter disbelief. It turned out that after glancing around, An Bai suddenly took out a bottle of cumin powder from the air. Immediately, the roasted meat emitted an even more enticing aroma. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai swallowed his saliva and asked the question he most wanted to ask. An, do you also have a rank system? Hearing this, An Bai's eyes instantly lit up, as if it really was the case. At this moment, An Bai did not yet know that she would soon pay a painful price for this action. And the reason Feng Mo Bai was so shocked was because in the Beast World continent, only males could possibly have special abilities, and the power tier system ranges from tier 1 to tier 10. But no female has ever manifested powers. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai, to verify this answer, grabbed An Bai's hand. Immediately, An Bai only felt a momentary tingling numbness in her arm, but it vanished in an instant. Having gotten his answer, Feng Mo Bai quickly released the little female's hand. An, you actually really have powers, although currently only at tier 1, equivalent to a male cub. At this moment, An Bai felt somewhat disappointed. I never thought, it's only at the level of a male cub. Seeing the little female's disappointed expression, Feng Mo Bai patted An Bai's little head to comfort her, saying, An, you are already very impressive. You might be the only female in the Beast World continent with the tier system. And it's a very special one that has never appeared before. Originally, the Beast World continent only had 5 tier systems: wood, water, fire, earth, and thunder. But the thunder tier only exists in legends. Hearing Feng Mo Bai's words, and seeing the proud expression between his brows directed at her, a smile also appeared on An Bai's face. Suddenly, Feng Mo Bai's brow furrowed tightly. It seemed he had thought of something. Then he spoke solemnly. An, about you having powers, and about the tier system, you absolutely must not let others know. Hearing this, An Bai said casually, of course, I know not to tell others. It's just that I trust you, isn't it? These light, casual words fell upon Feng Mo Bai's ears, and immediately his heart began to thump wildly. He felt that even if the little female asked him to die, he would be willing. Just as they were comfortably eating roasted meat, they failed to notice that all of their actions were seen by a wild boar beastman hiding in the shadows. Using treasure leaves that concealed his scent, he hid in the darkness. When he saw the little female actually conjure things out of thin air, his pig face was instantly stunned and speechless. Coming back to his senses, the wild boar beastman narrowed his eyes. His beady eyes were full of gloomy calculation. He wanted to obtain this magical little female even more. However, due to his previous failed schemes, he had already made the big white wolf wary. His eyes rolled as he schemed. At this moment, An Bai and Feng Mo Bai, full and satisfied, prepared to leave. Yet they did not know that a wild boar beastman in the shadows had been plotting against them all along. Suddenly, the wild boar beastman's mouth curved into a slight grin. He had thought of a perfect plan. This time, This little female would definitely belong to him. Then he transformed into his wild boar form and quickly dashed off in one direction. These past 2 days, Anbai had been busily arranging the dwelling she shared with the big white wolf. Looking at the completely refreshed cave, Anbai nevertheless frowned. She felt like something was missing. Then she walked out of the cave entrance, searching for something. Soon, she was holding a bunch of bright flowers. Just at that moment, Anbai caught a strange, enchanting fragrance. At first, she thought it was the scent of flowers, but the next second, Anbai's body went limp and she fainted, collapsing to the ground. Then, a sneaky figure emerged from behind a tree. It was clearly the wild boar beastman with ill intentions. At this moment, the wild boar beastman looked over the little female with a smirk. Everything was going according to his plan. He had been searching for the mist flower these past 2 days. Any female would faint upon smelling the mist flower's scent. Combined with the leaves he already had that concealed his presence, no matter how powerful that big white wolf was, he would never be able to find the little female again. This little female would completely belong to him now. Thinking of this, the wild boar beastman couldn't wait any longer. He transformed into his wild boar form, carrying the little female, and ran off. Meanwhile, Feng Mo Bai returned to the cave joyfully, carrying the small boar beast he had hunted. But after scanning the area, he found no trace of the little female. He then turned and went out of the cave to search. The next second, Feng Mo Bai's heart sank, because he saw the scattered wildflowers not far away. In an instant, Feng Mo Bai transformed into his wolfman form. He carefully sniffed the scents in the air. But to his horror, the little female's scent was becoming fainter and fainter. Panicked, Feng Mo Bai rushed wildly into the forest. He searched everywhere in the forest. Unfortunately, he found nothing, because the wild boar beastman's magical leaves had hidden their scent. Suddenly, a voice interrupted Feng Mo Bai as he was running. "That white wolf, what the hell are you doing pacing back and forth in front of me?" A large tiger emerged from the sandy soil under the tree. He looked disdainfully at Feng Mo Bai, who had passed by for the 3rd time. The big tiger was named Shi Shi. He was once the pride of the tiger tribe. But during a hunt, one of his hind legs was broken. Then he was cast out by the tiger tribe, who believe in survival of the fittest. Disheartened, Shi Shi used his earth elemental power to conceal himself, waiting quietly to die under the locust tree. But this big white wolf had run past him for the 3rd time now. He only spoke up because he was genuinely curious. Feng Mo Bai screeched to a halt in front of the big tiger. He hadn't seen a tiger beast in the wild forest for a long time. But then, he noticed the unnatural twist of the tiger's hind leg. He understood in his heart that this tiger was a disabled beast, abandoned by his tribe. Because the tiger tribe is even more ruthless than the wolf tribe. They strongly believe in survival of the fittest. Although he didn't like the tiger's attitude, Feng Mo Bai decided to ask anyway, thinking it was worth a shot. "Have you seen any female pass by here?" Unexpectedly, he received a surprising reply. Was it a female wearing white animal pelts? Shi thought for a moment. He seemed to recall a wild boar, beastman, carrying a white female passing by. But he hadn't really looked carefully. Because he looks down on these females, mainly because his own mother had over a dozen beast husbands. He then felt that all females were fickle and unfaithful. But when Feng Mo Bai heard news of Anbai, he went into a rage. He pounced right onto the big tiger. "Have you seen Anne? Where is she?" At this moment, Shi Shi pushed away the pouncing Feng Mo Bai with a look of disgust. He thought this big white wolf was hopeless. "What? Is that little female yours too? You look tall and strong. How did you end up sharing a female with a boar beastman?" Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai stared wide-eyed in shock. It was actually the boar beastman. Sure enough, he had always had ill intentions toward Anne. Right now, Feng Mo Bai wished he could tear the boar beastman apart immediately. Anne is not the boar beastman's female. Which way did they go? But she slowly spoke up. A male with many females. Isn't that what they dream of? Why are you in such a hurry? In Shi's mind, even if a female was kidnapped, it was just a passing emotion. Maybe when she wakes up, she'll just go with the flow. This poor wolf beast actually cares so much about one female. Hearing the tiger beast slander Anne like this, Feng Mo Bai instantly flew into a fury. A pair of sharp claws extended, pressing tightly against Shi's throat. Do you want to die? Tell me quickly, where is Anne? However, Shi, who was originally a proud son of heaven among tigers, even in dire straits, maintained his arrogance. So what if you kill me? Females are naturally promiscuous, can't I even say that? However, the next second, he was completely stunned. Because a few droplets fell on his tiger face. The seemingly fierce big white wolf in front of him was now so anxious that it started shedding tears. Please, tell me. Coming back to his senses now, Shi raised his paw and pointed in a direction. They went that way. But I'm telling you, don't get your hopes up too high. Before he could finish speaking, Feng Mo Bai thanked him, and then rushed swiftly in the direction Shi pointed. Shi, with the stern, tiger-like face, shook his head helplessly. You wouldn't listen to the tiger's advice. Just wait until you see your little female being all lovey-dovey with another beast. That's when your heartbreak will truly begin. Back in the day, his mother beast also said she loved his father beast the most. But didn't she still attract over a dozen beast fathers? Which male beast hasn't suffered from being too devoted? Now, Anne Bai opened her eyes, only to find her head feeling dizzy. It seemed like she was being carried by something. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her. Little female, you're awake. The cave entrance is right ahead. Do you see it? By now, Anne Bai roughly understood. It must have been this wild boar beastman's doing. Feeling the wild boar's rapid speed, Anne Bai gritted her teeth, rolled over, and jumped off the boar's back. She fell entirely into the muddy sludge. Now, the wild boar beastman also came to a stop. After reaching his territory, the wild boar beastman relaxed. Then he plunged his whole body into the mud and rolled around. So, oh female, you like rooting in the mud too? And looking at the wild boar rolling around joyfully. At this moment, Anne Bai knew. If she didn't run, she was done for. So, Anne Bai endured the pain in her sprained ankle. Trembling, she stood up, wanting to flee from this place. But before she could even take a step, the boar orc leaped and pinned her down in one bounce. Little female, where do you think you're going? However, contrary to the boar orc's expectations, Anne Bai actually started vomiting because of the foul stench emanating from the boar orc's open snout. At this moment, Anne Bai's beautiful eyes were filled with fear. Please, let me go. I really don't like you. She pleaded loudly with the boar, hoping he might have a momentary pang of conscience. But it was completely useless. Little female, don't worry. I will be very gentle. After saying this, he transformed back into his human form, grabbed Anne Bai and walked into the pitch-black cave. Shortly after, the boar orc took off his dirty clothes and approached Anne Bai with his flabby body. Little female, will you form a bond with me now? At this moment, Anne Bai was trembling all over with fear, her legs shaking as she retreated backward. But there was a wall behind her. She had nowhere left to retreat. Watching the boar orc getting closer and closer, Anne Bai's tears started flowing without warning. Despair and fear spread throughout her entire body. Little female, why are you crying? You are my treasure. You can even conjure things out of thin air. I will be very gentle with you. At this moment, the boar orc had no idea. He would pay a heavy price for these words. Hearing this, Anne Bai's eyes widened in shock. How did the boar orc know about her spatial ability? Perhaps sensing Anne Bai's confusion, the boar orc began to explain on his own. I saw you roasting meat with that stinky wolf in the forest earlier. An Bai was still utterly astonished. She had clearly checked her surroundings before revealing herself. How could he have been spying on her? But now was not the time to dwell on it. Watching the boar ORC approaching completely naked, An Bai suppressed her fear and spoke with a trembling voice. Wait, didn't you want the things I can conjure? After saying this, she continuously materialized supplies from the air. She wanted to buy a little time and look for a chance to escape, seeing the sudden appearance before him of all sorts of strange objects. The boar ORC's curiosity was piqued. For a moment, he truly overlooked An Bai nearby. And this was exactly An Bai's plan. Seizing the opportunity, she quietly moved toward the cave entrance. As soon as she stepped out of the cave, An Bai suddenly broke into a sprint. But this abruptly snapped the boar ORC out of his daze. He hastily dropped the packaging in his hands and frantically gave chase, feeling the figure behind her getting closer and closer. An Bai's thoughts were with the great white wolf at this moment. She felt she would never see him again. After all, the boar ORC now knew her biggest secret. After learning the purpose of those supplies, he would surely imprison her forever in that pitch-black cave. The more An Bai thought about it, the more despair she felt. Her running body seemed to lose its strength and gradually came to a stop. Right at this moment, a deafening roar rang out. A white figure leaped high into the air. In that instant, that flash of white was like a ray of hopeful sunlight, violently scattering her despair. The great white wolf was extremely angry. Now, his sharp claws continuously attacked the boar's vital spots. The pinned boar ORC snapped back to his senses, a fierce expression on his face as he prepared to counterattack. However, he was no match for Feng Mo Bai, a 5th-level ability user. He was knocked to the ground in just a few moves. So the boar ORC immediately resorted to kowtowing and begging for mercy. Wolf, beast, I was wrong. I shouldn't have coveted your female. Please spare me this once. All the ORCs in the wild forest are outcasts. As one of them yourself, you can't kill me. This was indeed the boar ORC's sincere feeling. After these two incidents, he was genuinely afraid of this mighty great white wolf. But he never should have said one particular thing. Feng Mo Bai had initially been swayed by his plea. I thought beating him half to death would be enough. But who could have expected that he would overhear such a statement? It was only after seeing the little female materialize things out of thin air that I developed malicious intentions. Feng Mo Bai, who was just about to retract his sharp claws, instantly sharpened his gaze. In the next instant, a cold glint flashed. The wild boar beastman's eyes widened uncontrollably. And then, he stopped breathing entirely. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai was completely devoid of emotion. If the wild boar beastman had merely coveted the little female, but failed to act, he would have spared the boar out of respect for their past TIs in the savage forest. But he had to blame himself for learning something he shouldn't have. Since he had discovered the little female's secret, Feng Mo Bai naturally couldn't let him live. For the little female, he, Feng Mo Bai, would do anything. Just at that moment, An Bai threw herself fiercely into Feng Mo Bai's embrace. Wu, de Bai, I thought I would never see you again. Feng Mo Bai was filled with the softness of the little female in his arms. He could only think that all of this was his fault. It was he who failed to protect the little female. An, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I made you suffer. At this moment, Feng Mo Bai was also gripped by fear after the fact. He didn't dare imagine what would have happened to his little female if he had arrived just one step later. An Bai sniffled. She lifted her head and looked at the handsome, striking man before her. If she had to say what she regretted most when she was in danger, that means she didn't agree to de Bai's request to become mates. After this incident, An Bai became even more certain of her feelings for the big white wolf. But right now, there seemed to be more important matters to attend to. By the way, de Bai, how did you manage to find this place? That wild boar said there were large leaves that could hide scents, claiming it was absolutely impossible for you to track us here. Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai patiently explained. At first, I couldn't sense your location at all. But fortunately, I came across a tiger waiting to die. He happened to see you being carried off by the wild boar. A tiger waiting to die. After listening, An Bai blinked, her little head filled with confusion. That's just how the tiger tribe is. They believe in survival of the fittest. Because he broke a leg and could no longer hunt, he was abandoned by his tribe. How pitiful he is. Bai, let's go see him. If it weren't for him, I might not have been able to see you again. But upon hearing this, Feng Mo Bai frowned. On one hand, he didn't want his little female to be seen by other beasts. On the other hand, it was because of the arrogant attitude of the tiger beast. But under the little female's pleading, Feng Mo Bai still agreed. He could never refuse his little female. However, An Bai didn't yet know that because of this meeting, she would become entangled with this proud tiger beast. Just as expected, the moment she saw the tiger Huxi, he started. Yeah, you really did manage to snatch the female back. Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai didn't mind Shi's attitude. He just nodded and said. Anne said she wants to come. Thank you. As soon as the words were spoken, An Bai took a step forward. Just as she was about to speak, she didn't expect Shi to suddenly yell out. It's because the prejudice in people's hearts is like a massive mountain. He really dislikes females getting close to him. Although An Bai was startled, she still looked at Shi very kindly. Hello, I just wanted to thank you. Only at this moment did Shi actually take a proper look at An Bai. Her face was smeared with mud, and her whole body was dirty. But her voice was soft and pleasant, very likable. But the next second, he shook his head. Ugh, what am I thinking? There's no such thing as a good female. An Bai didn't mind Shi's full-faced look of disdain. Just as she was about to speak again to thank the big tiger, she accidentally noticed his drooping leg. But the next moment, Shi, noticing the little female looking at his leg, instantly bristled. What are you looking at? After saying that, he tried to hide his leg behind him. But he couldn't move it at all. Once a proud young tiger tribesman. Now, he couldn't even move his leg a little. However, unexpectedly, An Bai said something he couldn't believe. Can I take a look at your foot? I think I might be able to help you heal it. For a moment, a glint flashed through Shi's tiger-like eyes. His entire being seemed to come back to life. But the very next second, his head drooped back down again. Only because he thought the female in front of him was just tricking him in order to form a mating bond with him. So he looked at An Bai with hostility. Stop being so fake. I'm lame in one leg now and can't even hunt. Even if I recover, I won't form a mating bond with you. Before Bai and could speak, Feng Mo Bai instantly flew into a rage. His precious little female was actually being looked down on by this fat tiger. He hadn't even formed a mating bond with the little female yet. Who does this random nobody think he is, trying to steal the spotlight? You want to form a mating bond with Anne? She wouldn't even agree. Anne, let's go. Let's just leave him be. After saying this, he tried to pull An Bai away. But An Bai wanted to help this tiger who had, after all, saved her life. She knew Shi's leg was just dislocated. So she calmed down the angry big white wolf, then turned to Shi and said, Listen here, big tiger, let's be clear up front. After I fix your leg, we go our separate ways peacefully. I still need to form a mating bond with my big white. The big white wolf, who was originally still a bit sulky, felt his heart instantly explode like fireworks. What did the little female just say? She wants to form a mating bond with him? After An Bai finished speaking, she felt a scorching gaze on her back, as if it could melt her. But the big tiger was clearly unconvinced. I think An Bai is playing hard to get. But he just snorted lightly and turned his head away. He didn't stop An Bai's next move. But the next second, He suddenly screamed in pain. It turned out Anbai had caught him off guard and forcefully reset his dislocated joint. Yet seeing Anbai still looking completely calm, even smiling carefreely, he instantly became furious. He started lashing out at Anbai. "Damn you, vicious female!" Just as he was about to curse with even more venomous words, he only heard a loud thud. The whole tiger was stunned, because Feng Mo Bai raised his hand and punched the tiger's head. At the same time, Anbai's soft voice sounded, "Don't be so quick to curse. Try using your leg." Hearing Anbai's words, Shi skeptically tried moving his leg, and was delighted to find his previously numb hind leg could actually move. Although it still hurt a lot. "See, I didn't lie to you, did I? Stay with me and Dubai for the next couple of days. You can leave as soon as your leg is better." Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai was actually a bit unhappy. He wanted his beast den to only carry his little female's scent. But remembering the little female had just agreed to mate with him, Feng Mo Bai silently endured it. However, he misunderstood. He thought Anbai was still coveting him, still want him to be her beast husband. But he did not make a sound. Instead, he let the wolf beast drag him back to the beast cave, because he already had a follow-up plan. One night, 3 days later, he carefully stood up. Feeling his increasingly strong legs, he decided to sneak away tonight. Although he hadn't seen that little female in the past 2 days, he didn't think that the little female had let him off. She must be waiting for his feet to heal before doing that to him. Just as the tiger beast stepped out of the cave entrance, the originally soundly asleep Feng Mo Bai opened his pair of green eyes. He knew the tiger beast had left, but he completely ignored the movement. The next morning, Anbai looked at Feng Mo Bai in confusion. "You're saying he left yesterday?" The currently somewhat guilty big white wolf said softly. "Maybe he had something to do. I didn't see him when I got up." Feng Mo Bai had long been displeased with that tiger. What if, after seeing the delicate and soft little female's true nature, he wanted to compete with him, for her? Looking at Feng Mo Bai's somewhat shifty green eyes, Anbai understood in her heart. Bai probably heard the tiger beast leaving, but she didn't investigate further. Choosing to leave was his freedom. Besides, she had important things to do. Bai, how is forming a mate bond done? In Anbai's eyes, forming a mate bond probably means getting married. But I don't know how to complete the wedding ceremony. And hearing this, Feng Mo Bai looked at Anbai ecstatically. "An, are you really willing to form a bond with me?" Although Anbai had mentioned it before, she didn't say much more about it afterward. He thought she was just saying it casually. He secretly felt down about it for several days. But now, Feng Mo Bai's handsome face flushed red as he gazed at Anbai affectionately. "The bonding ceremony must wait until night. We will receive the beast god's blessing." However, Anbai didn't realize yet that forming a bond isn't just a simple wedding ceremony. But she would soon find out, because Feng Mo Bai directly scooped her up in his arms and strode into their beast cave with his long legs. Only when Feng Mo Bai pinned her down on the bed did Anbai snap back to reality. "Big White, wait a moment." At this moment, Anbai finally sensed something was wrong. She thought forming a bond was a ceremony to confirm a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. She never expected the beast world's people to be so direct. Feng Mo Bai, kneeling on one knee on the stone slab bed, looked at the dazed little female who was resisting him. His green eyes filled with sorrow. But the next second, perhaps Anbai sensed the big white wolf's distress, and gradually withdrew her hands pressed against Feng Mo Bai's chest. In an instant, Feng Mo Bai lifted his head in delight. The little female seemed to no longer resist him, so he could wait no longer. In her fluster, Anbai kissed his small mouth. "The pacing here is very fast, so we'll just skip over it." By the time Anbai fully understood what bonding as mates meant, it was already the next morning. At this moment, feeling the soreness all over her body, and Bai felt like crying, but had no tears. She never expected the big white one from last night to be so wild. Just as An Bai was lost in thought, Feng Mo Bai had also woken up. His pair of green eyes gazed tenderly at the alluring An Bai. "Good morning, O female." Hearing this, An Bai blushed and didn't dare to look at Feng Mo Bai. She softly uttered a good morning. Last night, Feng Mo Bai had already realized that his little female was a shy person. So at this moment, he didn't tease her further. Instead, he gently asked the little female what she wanted to eat for breakfast. After breakfast, Feng Mo Bai took An Bai to the valley to pick wild fruits. And it was this time that led An Bai to a major discovery. As the harsh winter was approaching, Feng Mo Bai gathered a large quantity of hard-shelled nuts. He planned to carry them back to the cave for storage. This was when An Bai's usefulness became apparent. An Bai activated her spatial ability, intending to first store a portion of the nuts to move back to the cave. After all, her first-tier ability storage space was limited. But unexpectedly, she ended up storing all the nuts inside directly. This shocked An Bai. How could she have such a vast storage capacity? Then An Bai began to inspect the inside of the space. At this moment, although Feng Mo Bai didn't know what An Bai was spacing out for, he felt that the little female was even more impressive than his 5th level ability. She actually managed to store so many fruits all at once. Suddenly, An Bai shouted out loud, "Big White, my ability space has actually doubled in size." The next second, Feng Mo Bai seemed to suddenly think of something. He reached out and grabbed An Bai's hand. Sure enough, just as he suspected, the little female had now advanced to the 2nd level. A glint of pride flashed in Feng Mo Bai's green eyes. An Bai also knew that Feng Mo Bai was helping her check her level. She stared nervously at the big white wolf. "How is it, Big White? An, your spatial ability has reached the 2nd level." At this moment, Feng Mo Bai's face was filled with pride. He seemed even happier than if he had leveled up himself. However, after hearing Feng Mo Bai's answer, An Bai suddenly blushed. She had an unbelievable guess in her heart. And this unusual reaction was also noticed by Feng Mo Bai. Why did the little female suddenly blush? And the way she was looking at him was very strange. "An, what's wrong with you?" Hearing this, An Bai's entire face turned even redder. "It's just that my ability leveled up. It's probably because of dual cultivation." Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai's sharp eyebrows slightly furrowed. This was yet another strange term he didn't understand. This word didn't exist in the beast world. Seeing this situation, An Bai explained in an extremely soft voice. Her face flushed red. But she would soon regret it. Because after hearing the explanation, the big white wolf's eyes instantly lit up. "So that means, if we mate, you will advance to the next stage." At this moment, An Bai was too embarrassed and indignant to speak. "Speak properly. Don't use the word mate." Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai scratched his head. His handsome face looked a bit silly. "So that means, during the process of raising a cub, you will advance?" An Bai shot the big white wolf a glare and said, "I'm not sure. It's just a guess." However, she underestimated the big white wolf's curiosity about this matter. The next second, Feng Mo Bai directly transformed into the big white wolf. Before An Bai could react, he carried her on his back and dashed wildly toward the beast cave. "Big White, slow down." An Bai quickly tightened her grip around the big white wolf's neck. But when she thought about why he was in such a hurry, her cheeks flushed red again. And the big white wolf remained silent. He just kept running. He only wanted to return to the beast cave quickly to start the experiment. The once innocent big white wolf was starting to become mischievous. In the beast cave, big white wolf even spoke with conviction. "I just want to test it out. To see if your guess is accurate, An. Don't overthink it." And just like that, An Bai was subjected by the big white wolf to a new round of merciless devouring. Sure enough, after spending a few days fooling around with Feng Mo Bai in the beast cave, Anbai actually showed signs of advancing again. Although it wasn't a direct breakthrough like the first time, they were still advancing towards the third rank. However, Feng Mobai, who reached this conclusion, was even happier than Anbai. In that case, would doing it a few more times allow them to rise to rank 3? Looking at Feng Mobai's spring-filled eyes, Anbai glanced at him speechlessly. She knew exactly what this man was thinking. These past couple of days had really worn him out. First, he was charmed by the wild boar ORC. Then he was pestered by Feng Mobai. So Anbai quickly changed the subject. Behave yourself. Didn't you say a cold front is coming? Let's go to the stream today to get more water. And see if there are any fish while we're at it. Seeing his plan had failed, the big white wolf had no choice but to take his little female to the stream. He would never truly force his little female. Just as they were about to reach the stream, Anbai's face turned pale. This was where she was first ambushed by the wild boar ORC. Noticing his little female's fear, Feng Mobai quickly hugged her. It seemed the shadow left by that ORC was quite significant. "Anne, I will never let you face danger again." After saying this, he also felt a bit guilty. He hadn't protected his little female well enough. Anbai also sensed the big white wolf's guilt. But she knew it wasn't his fault. So she immediately stroked the big wolf's head to comfort him, saying, "Big White, I believe you. This is not your problem. Let's hurry and go catch some fish." Seeing the little female's eyes filled with trust, the big white wolf instantly became spirited and energetic. "Anne, you wait for me here. I'll go to a deeper spot to catch fish." After saying this, he stepped into the stream. But this time, he wouldn't go far from the little female. He stayed within her line of sight. Yet even so, an uninvited guest still arrived. Half an hour later, Anbai set up a fire and started grilling the fish the big white wolf caught, seasoned with the cumin powder she brought when she time traveled. The aroma was mouth-watering. Just then, a somewhat familiar voice suddenly sounded. "Little female, what is this you have? It smells so good." Anbai turned her head and saw a big tiger limping towards her. And this big tiger was none other than Shishi, who had left without saying goodbye before. But Shishi did not recognize the person before him as the same filthy female he had previously looked down upon. Shishi had thought before that the dirty little female helped treat his foot injury because she coveted his good looks. So he secretly slipped away once his foot was almost healed. After he returned to the tiger tribe, he accidentally overheard something. It turned out that his leg injury during that hunt was actually caused by his eldest brother's secret scheming. Yet even so, the tiger tribe still did not accept him. Beast tribes follow the rule of the strong. Shixi, now lame, was naturally abandoned by the tiger tribe, so they drove him out of the tiger tribe once again. Even his birth mother was unwilling to take him in. This is the reason why Shixi detests females so much. Disheartened, Shixi returned to the savage forest. But this time, he did not choose to wait for death, because he remembered the large white wolf he had encountered before. If a wolf beast could live so well in the savage forest, then he, a big tiger, could certainly do even better. So Shixi wandered around the forest, searching for a suitable place to claim as his territory. But he was drawn in by a strange, enticing smell of fish. Following the fishy aroma, he unexpectedly witnessed an astonishing scene. How could there be such a beautiful, fair, and delicate little female in this world? In an instant, Shixi was smitten. He completely forgot about his hatred for females. His mind was occupied with how to get this little female to adopt him. Soon, he came up with an idea. So he limped toward the little female he had taken a liking to. Seeing the newcomer, Anbai was also a bit surprised. "Tiger beast, it's you. Do you want to eat?" She even shook the grilled fish in her hand. Hearing this, Shixi was puzzled. "You know me?" He didn't remember ever meeting such a beautiful little female. But her voice did sound somewhat familiar. Suddenly, a furious roar erupted. A large white wolf descended from above, blocking and Bai. Feng Mo Bai glared fiercely at Shixi. Tiger beast, since you've already left, why come back now? After seeing Feng Mo Bai appear, Shi had an unbelievable guess in his heart. You are the one from before? Only now did he realize. The little female before him was actually the one who had treated his leg earlier. Hearing this, she looked at Shi with a smile and teased. I am the female you mentioned. And you are the big dumb tiger who left without a word before. Shi's tiger eyes were still full of shock. No wonder the big white wolf was so determined to win back this little female. If this little female were his, he would want to keep her all to himself too. Just at that moment, the big white wolf let out an angry roar, because he understood the desire for the little female in those tiger eyes. This damn tiger really wants to steal his little female. However, looking at the limping, eager big cat who desperately wanted to eat fish, Bai felt a bit sympathetic. He knew this tiger meant no harm. But Feng Mo Bai felt somewhat wrong, complaining to the little female. Look at him, he clearly has bad intentions. Seeing this, Bai understood her big white was jealous. Then she smiled and comforted her big white wolf. Comforted, Feng Mo Bai gave Shi a proud look. The pride in his eyes was very obvious. Seeing this scene, he felt even more lost. He understood now that he had misunderstood this little female before. But this only strengthened his determination to win the little female's heart. Then a plan occurred to him. He pretended to look pitiful. He didn't speak. He just looked at Bai with the wronged expression. Clearly, his plan was successful. The kind-hearted little female had taken the bait. Are you having some kind of trouble? A flash of golden light passed through Shi's eyes. But the tiger head he raised looked even more pitiful. He spoke with a slight choke in his voice. Little female. I left without saying goodbye last time because I missed the tiger tribe. Actually, I'm very grateful to you for healing me. After saying this, he took a bite of the grilled fish that Bayan handed over. With the very first bite, his heart leapt with wild joy inside. This is just too delicious. This little female is really amazing. But the tiger head he raised the next second still looked very sad. But in the end, they still looked down on me. They said I was a burden, and drove me out of the tiger tribe again. Watching the big tiger wildly hamming it up, Feng Mo Bai shot him a disdainful glare. He simply couldn't stand watching any longer. Your tiger tribe was always heartless to begin with. Nothing like our wolf tribe. Even if a pack member's lower body was paralyzed, we would still care for them. Hearing this, he immediately retorted, weren't you also abandoned by the wolf tribe? We're just the same. Only after speaking did he realize he was supposed to be acting pitiful. He couldn't let his cover slip and ruin the plan. So, with a somewhat fragile expression, he spoke again. Although we were both cast out, but at least you have a cave to spend the winter in. I'm afraid I might die in this year's harsh winter. After saying that, he secretly glanced at the little female. She really hadn't noticed the undercurrent between himself and the wolf beast. He was immediately overjoyed inside. Feng Mo Bai couldn't stand this big tiger anymore. Just as he was about to angrily confront the tiger beast, the little female spoke first. Da Bai. The new cave you dug before, it hasn't been filled in yet, right? How about letting this tiger beast use it? Shi almost laughed out loud, his plan a success. Really? Little female, you're so kind. The big tiger felt he hadn't misjudged her. This little female was compassionate and kind, truly different from other females. But when he looked into Bai's eyes, he found only sympathy in them, without any other messy thoughts at all. At this moment, Shi wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry. Before, he feared the little female would covet him. But now, he feared she wouldn't covet him anymore. In the end, Feng Mo Bai still agreed to take in the tiger beast. This beast world was just like that. Everything was decided by one's own female. But his Anne was different from other females. She would discuss things with him. She would seek his opinion. This was also one reason Feng Mobai agreed. And so, as the harsh winter approached, this newlywed couple welcomed a neighbor. However, what they didn't expect was the little female's heat cycle had arrived so quietly. On the first night of living together, Anne Bai walked into the inner cave, pretending to fetch food. In reality, she was retrieving it from her special ability space. It wasn't convenient yet for the big tiger to know her secret. Just as Anne Bai went to get the food, the covert rivalry between the big white wolf and the big white tiger also began. She saw that Feng Mobai let the little female go fetch the food alone. So he couldn't resist speaking up to mock him. "You're just too lazy. You never help the little female carry things. I really don't know what the little female sees in you." And Feng Mobai naturally wouldn't tell the tiger beast in front of him that his little female was getting things from her space. He needed to keep an eye on this tiger beast to prevent him from finding out. This was a secret belonging only to the big white wolf and the little female. Then Feng Mobai looked disdainfully at this scheming tiger beast. "You're just jealous that I have such a good little female. Too bad you don't have one." However, upon hearing this, he wasn't angry at all. Instead, he said something unexpected. "The little female is so good. Do you really think you can keep her all to yourself? Not to mention me. In the future, whenever other male beasts discover her, they will surely become covetous too." Hearing this, Feng Mobai felt somewhat disheartened. He naturally knew the little female was wonderful, and he had never thought about monopolizing her. He remembered how, due to his past negligence, this led to 2 incidents where the ORC beasts nearly harmed the little female. If there were an excellent beastman to protect the little female alongside him, he would naturally agree, even though this agreement would make his heart feel as if being sliced by a knife. At this moment, Shi saw that Feng Mobai wasn't speaking, and knew he was already wavering. So the cunning big tiger struck while the iron was hot. "Look, I'm a beast man, well, right? And I'm also a 5th-tier beast man. How about we protect the little female together? Besides, the little female isn't a promiscuous one. If we are of one heart, we can fully manage to share the little female. Just the 2 of us." Shi's words moved Feng Mobai. Perhaps this was the best for both him and the little female, because he couldn't always be by the little female's side to protect her. Just at that moment, the little female interrupted Feng Mobai's thoughts. "Big White, come help me move things." This was their code. Every time the little female said this, it meant the food had been transferred from the space to the inner cave. Snapping out of it, Feng Mobai glanced at Shi, and then strode toward the inner cave. Although Feng Mobai didn't speak, Shi knew he had tacitly agreed. As long as the little female agreed, then he could join this small family. At this moment, Shi felt a secret joy in his heart. He felt he was one step closer to forming a partnership with the little female. Little did he know the subsequent developments would exceed his expectations. Just as they finished eating dinner, Shixi couldn't resist stealing a glance at Anbai. But he discovered her covering her belly with both hands. Her fair, delicate face was covered in fine beads of sweat. Shixi was instantly frightened and panicked. He immediately rushed to the little female's side. "What's wrong with you, little female?" But one person acted faster. The moment Anbai's abnormality occurred, Feng Mobai had already embraced Anbai. And unlike Shixi's fright, Feng Mobai was relatively calm, though one could still see his heartache in those green eyes. Making a fuss over nothing. "You wait here. Do not come in." After speaking, he supported Anbai as they walked into the inner cave. As Shixi waited anxiously, he suddenly caught a faint scent of blood. In an instant, Shixi finally understood. So the little female's heat cycle had arrived. Females experience this heat cycle once every 3 months. The specific symptom is bleeding from a certain area. Thinking of this, A blush instantly spread across Shixie's exquisite face. Inside the inner cave, Bayan heard Shixie's exclamation. Her small face grew even redder. The big white wolf, after settling the little female, prepared to go to the outer cave to clean up the tools used for making dinner, before returning to warm the little female's belly. However, he was stopped by Shixie. Big white wolf, wait a moment. Is the little female in heat? Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai cast a disdainful glance at Shishi. What an uncultured bumpkin. What heat? That's clearly her period. Seeing the wolf beast's contemptuous expression, he felt somewhat perplexed. He didn't know that the big white wolf before him was no longer the same wolf beast as before, but a wolf beast evolved and by. Is what I said wrong? You're not planning to mate with the little female today, are you? Are you preparing to have wolf pups this harsh winter? Yet the simple-minded big tiger received another eye roll. You can't have pups during her period. The little female and I aren't planning to have pups for now. We've taken contraceptive measures. The poor big tiger was intellectually outmatched once again. He had no idea what the big white wolf meant by contraception. But Feng Mo Bai didn't explain it to him. He walked past him back into the inner cave, finally lying down beside the little female he had been longing for. Gently, he pulled the little female into his arms, tenderly warming her stomach. But the tiger beast's words today also made him ponder. The beast world is not peaceful. He alone truly couldn't protect the little female well. However, he also knew whether the tiger beast could join their small family ultimately depended on the intention of the little female in his arms. As expected, the savage forest is full of dangers everywhere. An event concerning the fate of four individuals is about to occur. And at this moment, he in the outer cave is squatting by the wall eavesdropping. He thought he would hear some sounds that would make him jealous, but he didn't hear anything at all. For a moment, the big white tiger grumbled inwardly. Is this wolf beast even capable? The little female is in heat, yet there's no movement. If the big white wolf knew what he was thinking, he would definitely glare at him fiercely. It's all because of him that he hasn't been intimate with the little female for a long time. Time flies, and a month has passed. During this month, the big tiger has been fed a lot of affection, which made him unable to hold back any longer. So he went straight to the little female, and barely containing his shyness, said, "Little female, I like you. Will you become my mate?" Hearing this, Anbai covered her small mouth in surprise, as if she couldn't believe that she would confess to her. But when she looked at the blushing big tiger, his golden eyes were unusually serious and passionate. He waited persistently for her answer. Suddenly, Anbai seemed to remember something and turned to glance at the big white wolf not far away. But she found that he didn't seem to notice the situation here, still meticulously arranging the bed. However, in reality, Feng Mo Bai was pricking up his ears and listening carefully. At this moment, Anbai took a deep breath. She couldn't hurt the big white wolf whose eyes were always on her. Then, she spoke in a soft but firm voice. I don't know why you have such thoughts, but I only want Da Bai. I like him, and he likes me, no matter what other females do. At the very least, I won't choose another beastman. Anbai very decisively rejected the tiger beastman. Her upbringing on Earth meant she couldn't bring herself to two-time anyone. However, she truly had no idea that an accident would soon make her break her own vow. These words moved Feng Mo Bai, who was eavesdropping in secret, immensely. It nearly moved this tough man to tears. At this moment, he was even willing to give his life for the little female. But Shishi's eyes widened like copper bells. Although he knew the little female was special, he never expected she would want only one beastman husband. Now, the big tiger was genuinely getting anxious. He didn't want to lose such a wonderful little female. So, with reddened eyes, he spoke urgently. Little female, listen to me. A single wolf beastman can't take good care of you. Wouldn't it be better if the wolf beastman and I took care of you together? Ugh, I can't make you understand. I don't want to be a betrayer and hurt Bai. I'll just pretend I never heard what you said today. After saying that, she turned to leave. Unexpectedly, the big tiger grabbed her wrist. Then he looked at Bai with a pitiful expression. Clearly, he wanted to try his old trick of playing pitiful. But unfortunately, this time he didn't get his way. Because the little female is angry. I consider you a friend. I hope you don't ruin this friendship. At this moment, the big tiger also understood. He couldn't push the little female too hard. So he let go of the little female's hand. But this doesn't mean he gave up. The moment Shixi let go, Bai glanced sideways at the big white wolf. Only when she found nothing unusual did she feel relieved and walk into the inner cave. And when Shixi saw the little female's eyes full of that wolf beast, his heart felt very bitter. Why wasn't he the one to meet the little female first? At this moment, Feng Mo Bai happened to turn around. The joy on his face contrasted sharply with Shixi's sorrow. Hey don't you gloat over the little female rejecting me. I will definitely impress the little female. You can't have her all to yourself. Hearing this, Feng Mo Bai just said nonchalantly, I never intended to have the little female all to myself. As long as she has me in her heart, that's enough. After speaking, he also entered the inner cave. Bai, who was getting food, was suddenly hugged. But she relaxed instantly upon realizing it was the big white wolf. Then she leaned softly against him. Although she hadn't done anything to wrong the big white wolf, she still felt a little guilty, afraid of making her big white wolf sad. However, Feng Mo Bai didn't say anything. He just gently kissed his little female, then took her hand to prepare dinner together. Several peaceful days passed in a row. One night, Shi lay obediently sleeping on the stone bed, but suddenly heard sounds coming from the inner cave. So he pricked up his ears and listened carefully. Faintly, it seemed like he could hear the little female calling his name. However, what he didn't know was, the truth of the matter was utterly maddening to him. Don't do this. He is still outside. At this moment, Bai was blushing and shrinking into a corner, while Feng Mo Bai looked impatient and eager. He couldn't be bothered about that damn tiger. It's all because of him that the little female refuses to be intimate with me. In the end, Bai still gave in. She could only bite her lip tightly to suppress her voice. Since I can't go into explicit details here, I'll have to skip ahead. However, Shi's face was full of shock at this moment. He had still heard everything. In the next second, the big tiger became furious. He knew this was that damn wolf putting on a show of force for him. Yet, there was nothing he could do about it. He could only passively eavesdrop. This night felt extremely long for the big tiger. The next morning, Bai dawdled for a long time before finally coming out of the inner cave. But her small face was still flushed red. She looked very embarrassed. But seeing both beasts calmly going about their own business, Bai finally breathed a sigh of relief. She thought that Shi probably hadn't heard anything last night. Time passed with the big tiger being forced to eavesdrop for a full month. On this night, Shi didn't hear any movement. He thought that damn wolf had finally found its conscience and stopped tormenting the little female. Suddenly, Shi's tiger pupils instantly dilated. He caught a faint scent of blood drifting from the inner cave. He thought that damn wolf had hurt the little female. Just as he was about to rush in to protect the little female, he detected a hint of sweetness within that bloody scent. At this moment, an incredible speculation arose in his heart. This was the scent of a female's heat cycle. But normally, a female's heat cycle should only occur once every 3 months. So why was the little female entering her heat cycle again? After the initial shock, the big tiger's mind was suddenly clearer than ever before. He thought of all the strange behaviors of the little female that he had previously overlooked. Using twigs as chopsticks for eating. Some words he had never heard before. A thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Could it be that the little female is not from the beast world? Even the big white wolf had once suspected that the little female was not from the beast world. Naturally, the equally clever big cat could also notice it. But soon, a look of determination appeared in Shishi's eyes. No matter where the little female comes from, he will definitely protect her. Having solidified his resolve, the big tiger gradually drifted into a sweet slumber. He dreamed that the little female was finally moved by him and agreed to become his mate. They even had several adorable tiger cubs. Sweetened by this dream, the big tiger, for the rest of the day, had a blissful look on his face. A smile lingered at the corners of his mouth. Just like that, the 3 months of harsh winter passed after the little female's third estrus cycle. One morning, Anbai woke up and happily ran out of the cave, breathing in the fresh air she had missed for so long. Her entire face bathed in the sunlight. However, she did not know that all of this was being watched by a pair of eyes in the shadows. Ever since Anbai first stepped out of the cave, the owner of those eyes had already set their sights on her. Yi Miao could hardly believe it. When did such a sweet little female appear? In the beast world continent? And as the most powerful and only 6th-tier snake beast in the savage forest, he decided to claim the sweet little female for himself. Can the big white wolf protect the little female? And what role does the big tiger play in this? A battle for the little female is about to begin. One morning, Anbai woke up and happily ran out of the cave, breathing in the fresh air she hadn't felt in so long. Her entire face bathed in the sunlight. However, she didn't know that this scene was being watched by a pair of eyes hidden in the shadows. Ever since Anbai first left the cave, the owner of these eyes had already set their sights on her. Yi Miu ended his hibernation and came out to hunt for food, but was drawn in by a sound of silver bell-like laughter. And then he saw the stunningly beautiful little female bathed in sunlight. He simply couldn't believe it. When did the beast world continent have such a sweet little female? But after the shock came excitement. He decided to claim the sweet little female for himself as the only 6th-tier snake beast in the savage forest. Yi Miu certainly had the confidence to say this. A battle for the little female is about to begin. At this moment, Anbai and the 2 others were searching for prey in the forest, completely unaware that someone in the shadows was coveting the little female. Suddenly, the big white wolf and the big tiger stopped in their tracks at the same time. They both heard the sound of prey not far away. The next second, Feng Mo Bai lifted the little female and placed her on a tree branch. He wanted to hide the little female in the usual way. He would bring the little female down again after he returned from hunting. But he didn't know that he would soon regret it. At this moment, Anbai was still unaware of the seriousness of the situation. Da Bai, you can go without worry. If anything happens, I will call for you immediately. But the next second, Feng Mo Bai suddenly brought the little female down. After leaving a deep kiss, he placed the little female back again. She, standing to the side, felt choked up. Bullying him because he didn't have a little female to kiss goodbye, right? He gave Feng Mo Bai an unhappy look. How about you go back? I can hunt for 3 people by myself. But Feng Mo Bai ignored Shishi. He headed straight in the direction of the prey. He wanted to hunt for the little female personally. Meanwhile, Anbai, in the tree, quietly watched the fading figures. Feeling bored, she checked the supplies in her space. Suddenly, a deep voice sounded by her ear. Hello, O female. The voice was like a bass speaker, yet carried a hint of sensuality. Anbai abruptly raised her head. Her originally somewhat dazed pupils instantly dilated. A look of fear appeared on her face. It turned out the voice came from a large snake in front of her. The snake's body was coiled around the tree. A pair of dark red eyes stared fixedly at her. The snake, flicking its tongue, continued to speak. Little female, I've seen you before. Are you willing to form a partnership with me? But I don't like sharing you with others. After saying that, it flicked its serpentine tongue and kept approaching Anbai. The distance was extremely close. It almost licked Anbai's cheek. Coming to her senses, Anbai fearfully wanted to back away. But she forgot she was currently on a tree branch. A sudden feeling of weightlessness struck. Just as Anbai thought she would fall heavily to the ground, the snake beast wrapped its tail around her and pulled her close. Little female. Look how foolish you are. It seems only I can protect you. Yi Miao ignored the slight trembling of the little female. He was about to coil the little female back to his snake den to make her lay snake eggs for him. But unexpectedly, Anbai suddenly screamed, "Let me go! Da Bai, save me!" Now, Yi Miao instead became unhurried. He spoke in a somewhat disdainful tone. "Those two men of yours are both fifth-tier beastmen. Even if they come, they can only come to die." Yi Miao truly hoped they would rush over. That way, he could kill them. Then the little female would belong solely to him. At that moment, Yi Miao felt a sharp pain in his tail. Then, reflexively, he released Anbai. And the falling Anbai was steadily caught on the tiger's back by the big tiger that had rushed over. Feng Mobai, meanwhile, glared fiercely at the snake beast before him. His sharp claws were crossed in front of his chest. Those wolf claws faintly bore some snake blood. Yi Miao instantly became enraged. He raised his snake tail and struck back at the wolf beast before him. Just as Yemiu counterattacked, Shixi dragged Bayan forward as they ran. The big tiger finally realized his dream of running while dragging the little female. But now was not the time to enjoy it. He placed the little female on a small hill not far away. "Little female, be good and stay here. Don't run around. I'm going to help the wolf beast." Shixi gently comforted Anbai. Perhaps feeling it wasn't enough, he extended his slender hand again, gently and quickly patted the little female's head. "Don't be afraid, little female. Wait for us to return." After speaking, he rushed fiercely towards the two locked in intense battle. At this moment, Anbai was somewhat flustered. Her heart was pounding wildly. The big tiger's concerned gaze from earlier had somewhat struck her heart. Anbai suddenly clutched her chest. Her expression, somewhat confused. She didn't even know what that emotion just was. But soon she couldn't let her mind wander. The sixth stage, Yemiu, was truly too powerful. The wood element's ability to control vines was too invincible in the forest. The next second, the big tiger that had just run over was fiercely whipped to the ground. Vines instantly entangled the tiger beast's neck. And Feng Mobai wanted to get close to help, but was also restrained by numerous vines, unable to move. Watching the big tiger's breathing grow weaker and weaker, Anbai's tears burst forth. She screamed heartrendingly, "No!" then could no longer hold back, and sprinted down from the small hill. Watching the sad little female running towards him, Feng Mobai only felt a surge of fear in his heart. He was afraid of losing the little female. He didn't want the little female to get hurt. Suddenly, Feng Mobai felt a power emerging from the depths of his heart. At this critical moment, Feng Mobai advanced in rank. His fire ability instantly burned all the vines on his body to ashes. Seizing this opportunity, his sharp claws severely injured Yi Miao's snake tail once again. The big tiger broke free using this momentum. Then he desperately stumbled towards the little female. He was afraid the little female would get hurt. Watching the big tiger staggering, yet determinedly running towards her, Anbai felt as if something within her heart had changed. She never expected that besides Da Bai, someone else would care for her so much. At this moment, Yi Miao, who had dodged Feng Mobai's attack, understood in his heart that he had missed his best opportunity. He had failed due to his own carelessness. Yi Miao began to think of retreat. Enduring the pain, he looked towards Anbai's direction. But this little female, he must have her. Just as Feng Mobai was about to attack again, he discovered the snake beast before him had suddenly vanished. Before he could ponder it, he heard the little female's heart-wrenching scream from behind. "She!" Feng Mobai turned around to look. He saw the big tiger had already collapsed to the ground. The person had completely lost consciousness. An Bai trembled as she approached the big tiger. The tears on her face burst forth like a broken dam. She was terrified. She was afraid to learn that truth. Feng Mo Bai calmed himself down. He crouched down to check on the big tiger. Then he slowly let out a breath. He stood up and looked at the softly sobbing young female. Feng Mo Bai just felt a bit of heartache. And, don't worry. He just passed out. Hearing this, An Bai felt a little more at ease. But deep in her eyes, there was still deep worry for the big tiger. Just as Feng Mo Bai was carrying the big tiger back to the beast cave, a small snake slowly appeared. And this small snake was Yi Miu, who had suddenly vanished. But no one knew what he was planning. She never would have thought that one day he would be unable to drink the delicious fish soup made by the young female. Young female really can't drink anymore. Oh, come on, have a little more. This is the last bowl. An Bai looked gently at her original intention was to help the big tiger regain his strength. At that moment, Feng Mo Bai spoke up at the right time. An, this tiger probably really can't drink anymore. You and I drink it. After this incident of the snake beast stealing the young female, it made Feng Mo Bai understand once again the importance of companions. At this moment, Shi also sensed the white wolf's goodwill. Then he should also make an effort, so that the young female would fully accept him. After the meal, Feng Mo Bai went out to hunt. With the big tiger injured, the task of hunting now fell solely on him. And An Bai was assigned to stay in the cave. On one hand, it was to avoid going out and being targeted again. On the other hand, it was also to create an opportunity for the big tiger. And Shixi also understood the white wolf's thoughts. He also hoped the little female would accept him sooner. That way, he could partner with the little female earlier. So Shixi looked at the little female who was checking him over. For the first time, he boldly called out the little female's name. An. Hearing this, Bayan raised her head and met Shixi's tender golden eyes, remembering how the big tiger desperately shielded her that day. Her heart softened. Looking at An Bai so close, Shixi could no longer restrain himself. He pulled the little female into his embrace. He lowered his head, wanting to kiss the tender little mouth of the person in his arms. But just as they were about to touch, An Bai suddenly pushed Shixi away. I'll go check outside. The firewood might be running low. After speaking, An Bai, her face flushed, walked out. Her movements were flustered. She completely didn't dare look at the handsome face before her. Though Shixi felt a bit disappointed after being pushed away, he wasn't heartbroken. Even though he didn't achieve his goal, he now knew the little female didn't dislike him. Thinking this, the big tiger became overjoyed. He wondered if he should be even bolder. Only then could he win the little female's heart. Faster. Meanwhile, An Bai, who had fled the beast's den, was crouched on the ground, weeping softly. Her little face was filled with confusion and sorrow. It seemed she had just developed feelings for the big tiger. Did this count as a betrayal to Big White? Thinking of Feng Mo Bai made An Bai even more upset. By the time Feng Mo Bai returned from hunting, An Bai was still squatting pitifully outside the beast cave. An, why are you squatting here? When he saw the tear stains on An Bai's face, his green eyes instantly filled with anger. Did the tiger beast bully you? After saying that, he was about to storm off and teach the tiger beast a lesson. Seeing this, An Bai quickly stopped him. No, he didn't bully me. Looking at the teary-eyed little female, Feng Mo Bai felt heartbroken. He gently wiped away An Bai's tears, but seeing how Feng Mo Bai's eyes were filled only with her, An Bai felt even more guilty inside. Her tears gushed out like a broken dam, making it impossible for Feng Mo Bai to wipe them all away. Yet Feng Mo Bai patiently comforted and asked, An, what's wrong? You can tell me anything. Big White, if I had a moment where I felt a little something for someone else too, does that mean I'm fickle and have wronged you? Looking at the stammering little female, Feng Mo Bai roughly understood. The little female must have developed feelings for that big tiger. But Feng Mobai hid the trace of jealousy in his eyes and patiently soothed the little female. "Anne, I don't know what your world is like. Most females here have over 10 beast husbands following them. But they all take it for granted. They never think to give even a little love back to these male beasts who love them. So sometimes I feel very lucky, because my little female is wholeheartedly devoted to me. Even though sometimes I am useless, if there could be one more person to protect you, I think I would be very willing." Feng Mobai's words stopped in Bai's tears, but she was a bit puzzled by what he said next. Is this how all the females here treat their beast husbands? She refuses to be like that. "Bai, you can't have such thoughts. I only want to be with you. Whether times are good or bad, I will face them with you. Just the two of us, okay?" Hearing his little female's words, Feng Mobai held Bai tightly. No matter what decision his little female makes in the future, he will follow his little female for his entire life. At this moment, Shi, seeing the two return, was still grinning cheerfully, unaware that he was about to be given up by the little female. What a pitiful big tiger. In the following days, the little female remained unmoved by Shi's ardent gaze, as if steeled in her resolve to draw a clear line with the big tiger. And during these days, Shi also noticed the little female's attitude. He also seemed to have selective amnesia about that day's intimacy. The matter of forming a mating bond seemed to be a distant prospect. Just like that, a few more days passed. The big tiger's injuries had healed as well. On this day, the three of them went out hunting together. But they encountered an unexpected person. It started when the little female casually glanced to the side. Then she let out a cry of surprise. "Hey, what is that?" Hearing this, the big white wolf instantly became alert. He shielded the little female behind him and exchanged a glance with the big tiger. And the big tiger also understood Feng Mobai's intention. So the big tiger went forward alone to investigate. Then, after she sniffed the scent with his nose, suddenly, the big tiger's fur bristled. He roared angrily, "Get out here!" Hearing Shi's fury, the person in the grass timidly crawled out. Before them appeared a dirty-looking tiger. "Datong, what are you doing here?" Shixi stared coldly at him with his tiger eyes, his face indifferent. Even though the tiger beast before him was once his companion, he hadn't forgotten how this very person had looked gleeful when he was driven out back then. Datong then explained why he was here. It turned out he was scouting for the tiger tribe, because the tiger tribe had offended the giant monkey tribe. The giant monkey tribe would attack the tiger tribe in 3 days. He came to the savage forest to seek Shixi's help, to confirm if Shixi's leg had healed. However, not only was Shixi's leg fully recovered, he was also living a very healthy and carefree life. He not only had a sweet little female by his side, but also a 6th-level wolf beast. Just when Datong thought the tiger tribe was saved, he never expected Shixi to refuse. "What does the tiger tribe have to do with me? You'd better not provoke me. I have no connection with your tiger tribe." Now, after saying that, he turned and left. Although Shixi left decisively, for the next 2 days he was clearly downcast, still harboring deep attachment and worry for the tiger tribe. "Shixi, why don't you go back and take a look?" Bai originally didn't want to meddle in others' business, but she couldn't bear seeing the big tiger moping all day. What was unexpected was that upon hearing Bai's words, Shixi said this. "Anne, are you saying you want me to leave you?" His soft words carried endless grievance. Shixi thought that by staying close to the little female, he would eventually see the clouds part and the fog clear. But the little female always wanted to push him away. Thinking of this, the big tiger's mood grew increasingly gloomy. Seeing the deep sorrow in the big tiger's eyes, Bai's heart softened once again. She did not firmly and decisively use words to push Shixi away. "That's not what I meant. I just feel that since you can't bear it, why force yourself to harden your heart? You'll definitely regret it in the future. At this moment, the big tiger also sensed the little female's softening heart. In an instant, he had a bold idea. "Anne, why don't you come with me to the tiger tribe?" This caused Feng Mo Bai, who had been silent nearby, to glance over. Because in the beast world, if a female is willing to follow a male back to his tribe, it means she has accepted him. Shixi knew the little female didn't understand, so he was gambling. Even if it was self-deception, he wanted to gain the little female's approval. However, the little female still refused him. "No, Big White and I will stay here. If you come back, we can still be neighbors." It wasn't because the little female knew the rules of the beast world, but because she wanted to take this chance to say a final goodbye to Shixi, and then live a good life with her, Big White, in their own world. After hearing the little female's reply, Shixi's golden eyes couldn't hide his disappointment. He felt he was about to lose the little female, although he had never possessed it either. Yet no one had expected. The previously silent Feng Mo Bai suddenly spoke up. "Anne, I think we can go together. On one hand, my Tier 6 ability can assist Shixi. On the other hand, I'm also worried the snake beasts might return. I'm afraid I can't protect you alone. Let's stay with the tiger tribe for a while before coming back, okay?" At this moment, Dabai didn't yet know that precisely because he spoke up this time, he nearly lost the little female completely. Hearing Feng Mo Bai's words, Shixi looked up in surprise. The big white wolf actually agreed to let him take the little female back to the tiger tribe. The little female didn't understand his hidden meaning, but the wolf beast must have known. And Feng Mo Bai actually had his own considerations. The tiger beast before him could be considered a good match for Anne. The previous incident had truly left him with trauma. He felt that helping the tiger beast was also helping himself. The only one kept completely in the dark about this matter was the little female. And Anne Bai didn't overthink it either, thinking that since she could help the big tiger, she might as well make the trip. Just like that, the several of them set off for the tiger tribe together. Their return to the tiger tribe immediately caused a stir. The little female's beauty was truly astonishing. Just as Shixi was about to take the little female back to his beast den, a petite tiger beast darted out, charging straight toward Shixi. But Shixi sidestepped and avoided it. Immediately, the petite tiger beast transformed back into human form. She looked at Shixi pitifully. Her name is Ya. She is one of only 2 females in the tiger tribe, besides Shixi's mother. She currently has 7 beast husbands. She has always wanted to have Shixi, but has been consistently rejected by him. Just as Ya was about to say something, she suddenly noticed Anbai standing to the side. The next second, Ya pointed fiercely at Anbai. Who is she? She has always regarded Shixi as her personal property. Shixi, who already disliked Ya, stepped in front of Anbai. He glared at her fiercely. "A female who came back with me. Who do you think she is?" After saying that, he left with Anbai. At this moment, Ya was filled with extreme hatred. She must make this woman who stole her. The beastman's female will pay the price. However, in a corner where no one was looking, there was also a person gloomily watching the little female's retreating figure. She was Shixi's mother, Beast. This also set the stage for an event that would happen later. Time flew by, and it was the next day. Just as Shixi was preparing to leave to negotiate with the giant monkey tribe, Anbai suddenly thought of something. She stopped. "Shixi." She took out 2 hard shell nuts stored in her space. "Shixi, take these 2 hard shell nuts with you when you go to negotiate. If the giant monkey tribe likes them, I have more than 60 more here. They can be given to the giant monkey tribe as compensation. Monkeys on Earth all like to eat bananas, and the flesh of the hard shell nuts in the beast world is actually banana flesh." As expected, that was the case. Soon, Shixi returned, overjoyed. "Anne, thank you." The negotiation went very smoothly. At this moment, Anbai was also very happy. On one hand, she was glad to be able to help Shixi. On the other hand, she could quickly return home to the savage forest with Dabai. However, an unexpected event occurred. The next day, while Shixi and the big white wolf were escorting the hard shell nuts to the giant monkey tribe, and Anbai was alone in the beast cave preparing breakfast, she was suddenly startled by a figure who darted out. The person who came was none other than the female tiger Ya, who had wanted to throw herself into Shixi's embrace that day. Now, a pair of tiger eyes were glaring fiercely at Anbai. "You, female, why are you still in Shixi's cave? Shixi is going to become my 7th beast husband in the future. You'd better know what's good for you and leave the tiger tribe right now." After saying this, she fiercely bared her sharp claws. For some reason, Anbai felt extremely irritated upon hearing this. Whether she leaves or not is one matter. But when did she say he would become her 7th beast husband? Who she likes is his own right, and no one can interfere. Sure enough, upon hearing Anbai's words, Yahi became furious. Her tiger eyes glared at her fiercely, as if she were about to pounce and bite her. But for some reason, she suddenly laughed. "Aren't you just eyeing Shishi as the future leader of the tiger tribe? Which is why you followed him back. Our tiger tribe might accept you. But that wolf beast husband of yours is nothing but a white-haired monster. What qualifications do you have to stay in the tiger tribe?" Anbai heard her speak of Dabai with such contempt. Instantly, her eyes flared with urgency. She no longer cared about fearing the fierce beast before her. She glared back at her fiercely. "Dabai originally came with good intentions. He came to the tiger tribe because he wanted to help you. We will leave in a couple of days. What right do you have to talk about Dabai like that? Acting so high and mighty. Who in the beast world continent doesn't know that if a female is willing to follow a male beast back to his tribe, it means she implicitly agrees to become his mate. And if the female's other beast husbands follow along, it means they implicitly accept that male beast and intend to establish a new settlement here. Now look at you. You've been in the tiger tribe for several days already, yet you still put on airs and refuse to mate with Shishi. How are you worthy of?" Hearing this, Anbai was instantly stunned. Following him back to his tribe meant implicitly agreeing to mate? Dabai agreed with this too? At this moment, Anbai's small face was drained of color. Her mind recalled some strange interactions between the two men. And back in the primitive forest, Dabai would often linger outside, intentionally or unintentionally. Thinking back, it seemed like he was creating opportunities for her and she to be alone. Thinking of this, Anbai felt as if she had suddenly fallen into an icy abyss. Her heart grew so cold, her whole body went numb. "Why aren't you saying anything? Did I hit a nerve?" "Yeah." He saw Anbai's pale, ashen face. Her entire tiger face was raised arrogantly. At this moment, a bold idea crossed her mind. Should she take advantage of the fact that no one was around and just finish off this detestable female? In the end, she didn't succeed, because she and Feng Mobai had already returned. From afar, they saw this fierce tigress cornering the little female they cared deeply about. At this moment, Shishi's tiger-like eyes held a brutal fierceness, clearly filled with killing intent. "You'd better disappear from my sight immediately. Otherwise..." "Yeah." He instantly felt a chill run down her spine. Trembling, she turned around and scurried away in disgrace. And when Feng Mobai saw the little female, he immediately sensed that something was off with her emotions. So he stepped forward, wanting to comfort her. But the little female raised her small hand to stop him, refusing his approach. Instantly, a bad feeling arose in Feng Mobai's heart. And he also noticed something was wrong right away. His heart sank. Just as he was about to speak, he was sharply interrupted by Anbai's fierce, tearful voice. "Don't you speak?" She then turned to look at Da Bai, her tear-filled eyes gleaming with the cold light. "Da Bai, did you know that if I followed Shishi back, It meant I accepted him by default? Hearing Anbai's words, Feng Mo Bai seemed to instantly lose all his strength. He lowered his gaze and replied, yes. After hearing Feng Mo Bai's straightforward reply, Anbai felt as if she had been plunged into an ice cellar. Are you trying to give me away? So what exactly am I to you? An object? I gave you my whole heart. I even felt guilty towards you because I was alone with Shixi. How could you treat me like this?